and public safety together. And I will pass it off to someone else.
Dr. Wilhite, if I could just add to that, thank you for those comments. And again, my name is Ryan Harold. I'm from the Crafton Hills College Fire Academy, and I'll speak specific to the fire service and what a privilege I believe that this career opportunity offers for you. The American Fire Service is just shy of 300 years of tradition and history in America. And so we've got a lot of longstanding traditions, and really the pillar of our existence is based upon, like Professor Wilhite said, offering services in times of need to members of the community. And so when you sign on to work for a particular community, whichever one employs you, then you're there to serve, protect, and offer your services to the residents and visitors of the community where you work. And so it's truly an honor to be able to be entrusted with people in their most challenging times of their life. And so that's what I believe the fire service has to offer. The other beauty of it is that when you talk about public safety, you're speaking not only of the fire service, emergency medical services, our law enforcement partners, administration of justice, corrections. Those are all sort of the pillars of public safety in any community. And it's a vital service. And so that's why those of us who've done it for quite some time feel so privileged to be able to do it. And that's why we're here to offer information for those who are interested in doing it as well.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And just to add to what Dr. Wilhite and Professor Harold just mentioned, with assisting first responders, it's not only responding to a specific incident that currently is taking place or has taken place with the aftermath. With intelligence analysis, which is the program that I have, it's crime and intelligence analysis, students are taught specific tools on how to monitor and be preventive and apply preventive methods and to identify specific threats or concerns. For example, if there's an area that's vulnerable to fires, speaking, with the fire portion, it would be in doing some research and looking at that specific area. If it is vulnerable to a specific fire due to the weather that's coming into place, or maybe there's some arsonists, okay? Arsonists meaning individuals that have been previously arrested and convicted for having or starting a fire. So maybe there's been some arsonists that have been released recently from prison or jail, and now we have a fire department that is around a specific area, and they need to be alerted and informed along with a law enforcement agency of specific individuals that could be a threat to that area. So as a crime and intelligence analyst, you provide preventive tools, you provide preventive assessments, statistics to inform administration at a law enforcement agency, at a first responder agency, but also it can be in the private sector. So not only are you possibly identifying specific crime trends that are taking place, a crime series that is currently taking place, identifying specific suspects that are out and about and need to be identified, but also looking for victims, also trying to locate victims, taking those preventive measures, right, in specific types of crimes. Like I worked human trafficking investigations prior to becoming a professor. And it was my job to try to locate specific individuals that were at risk of becoming a victim of human trafficking. And as a student with crime and intelligence analysis, you will be provided those skills and techniques that are needed in order to search different types of computer programs. Now, crime and intelligence analysis isn't looking at, let's say, CSI. It's not CSI. You're not collecting actual evidence out in a crime scene. It's digital evidence. So you're doing research online and supporting whether it's law. If there's a defensive attorney, a district attorney that needs additional research or support to his or her motion, charges, or anything within that. And you might want to help me out here, Abel, with the documentation that is filed in the courtrooms, right? Or motions and things like that, right? So analysts actually do some research to provide that support. And like I said, with Ryan's, with the fire as well. But now we also know that there's several events that take place. And I don't want to take too much time, but I do want to let you guys know we have concerts, we have big sporting events, right? And looking at how California, the US can be vulnerable to terrorists, whether it's international terrorists, domestic terrorists. Intel analysts are always monitoring and looking at specific activity to make sure that their area, the business, the location, the community is not at risk. And when they're doing so, they're actually monitoring specific groups to make sure that there's not any mention of striking or taking specific actions. So like, let's say the Honda Center, Universal Studios, Disneyland, they all have intelligence analysts that are monitoring tons of social media at the same time, making sure that they're protected, their enterprise is protected. So I want you to know, as a crime and intelligence analyst, you don't only have to focus towards law enforcement, first responder, but you also have an opportunity of going to the private sector.
I just learned a ton of stuff, and that makes me want to take a class. That's really interesting. Really, very, very interesting. Did anyone else want to chime in on that question?
Maybe I'll go.
Okay.
If you don't mind. So I think, well, what a wonderful comments made by my fellow panelists. They've actually done a great, fantastic job explaining public service part of it. So I'm here to more talk to you about the Pathway to Law School program, which of course, as the name suggests, that it's a we create a pathway to take you from community college to get your bachelor degrees to a law school with the ultimate goal of becoming an attorney. However, there are many, many, many more things you can do with a law degree than simply practice law, right? So, I think I met the head of librarian had her Juris Doctor JD degree. It doesn't have to be like a career to be a practicing attorney, but if that's what you want to do, that's terrific. And so the current climate, if you will, for the legal climate is that, well, I mean, hey, if your goal is to make a lot of money, that is still a wonderful way to do it. I'm not gonna lie. However, we are also in need a lot more legal professionals that looks more like me, that looks more like the folks around the community, instead of what the legal profession for a long time, which still is dominated by folks that doesn't necessarily look like you and I. So with that in mind, that's what the inspiration to create the Pathway to Law School is, to try to make the legal profession more diversified. And this is not just some agreement with a couple faculties and a couple judges and say, let's do this, because we all know what happened to those programs, right? When the judge retire, when the faculty, wins the lottery, which I never thought that's possible, then the whole program collapsed. But this program is initiated and is still ran, is financed partially by the California State Bar. So this program is here to stay, and the main inspiration of this program is to bring more diversity into the legal profession. The program has already seen a lot of fruition. We've seen folks graduate from UC Davis Law School, USC School of Law, UC Irvine Law School, went on to Berkeley to get a double MBA. So it's paying off, and I think the legal profession, like anything else, including the paralegals, needs a more diverse workforce. and you're here to help.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So our next question is, how long are these programs? And then in word, what programs are available and how long are they, I guess is the easy way to put it.
I'll start with regards to the Fire Academy at Crafton Hills College. There's a prerequisite track of 2 fire technology courses that you need to take, as well as an EMT class. And so we've created a website specific for our Fire Academy, and I hope that you'll go visit that at craftonhills.edu/Fire Academy, and I can provide that at a later time. But the length of our program, once you're in the Fire Academy, our students are called cadets, is 18 weeks. It's one regular community college semester-long program of 18 weeks. It's an 18-unit program. 16 units of those will be the Fire Academy credit for your permanent transcripts, and then 2 units is a kinesiology or a physical fitness course for a total of 18 units in one semester once you're in the academy.
And they can also, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said the prerequisite is EMT, and they can become EMTs in a semester. Is that correct?
That is correct. And there's another breakout session, Dr. Wilhite, with one of my colleagues from EMS at Crafton Hills. I know that the Ben Clark Education Center offers EMS as well. So I will say that, yes, you're correct. One semester you can become an EMT. It also satisfies the prerequisites to come to the Fire Academy at the various colleges that we're talking about.
On the administration of justice side, we have kind of a dual purpose in that we do prepare people to transfer. So if I wanted to get my associate's degree and transfer to a 4-year college, well, obviously that's a 2-year program. But we also have, and this is something that really differentiates the career technical side from the your traditional English psychology type degree. We have an intensive academy that is just over 20 weeks long, that will certify somebody to be a police officer in California. And that's a 40-hour week academy that, you come to full time. And when you graduate from that, you receive the certificate that would allow you to go be hired by a police department or a sheriff's office. There's also opportunities for part-time attendance of the police academy. So we run what's called a modular academy, which means that there are a series of 3 courses over 3 semesters, that after you've completed those 3 semesters, you've met all the requirements of the police academy. So instead of doing it full-time for 20-something weeks, you're doing it part-time, evenings and weekends over 3 semesters. Our partners over at Valley College, they run a year-long part-time academy also. Differences, we run in 3, you can take one, take a break, take another one. That's a modular format. Their format is straight through. So you basically evenings and weekends for a year, and you can become a police officer. We also have correctional academies that'll qualify you to become a corrections officer in the local, county jails. Those programs are less than a semester long. Again, they meet all 40 hours a week, and they certify somebody to become a correctional officer. And we have a 3-week post-certified dispatcher academy that once somebody takes that, they're qualified to be a public safety dispatcher, either working for law enforcement, dispatching fire services, EMS, and a lot of those people go into the private sector. Nancy mentioned Disneyland. They have dispatchers who, keep track of the firefighters and the EMS providers and security at Disneyland and places like that. And one of the things that's really great about all these programs is these jobs pay. There's very few places where you can go to class at the Fire Academy for a semester, basically, and within a very short time, be making 3 figures. And firefighters can do that. Police officers can do that. You know, paramedics, unfortunately, don't get paid as much as they should, but it's still a decent living. And you don't need a master's degree to do it. So, and I'll let Nancy talk about her program.
Thank you, Dr. Wilhite. With the Crime and Intelligence Analysis Program, it is, once you complete the program, you receive your Associates of Science degree along with the certification. You get both at the same time. Reason why you get both is just why not? This is the way I wrote the curriculum and submitted it to the state in order for students to receive it. In order to get an entry-level position for a crime and intelligence analyst, there are several places that will take you as a certificate of completion. There are other places that'll take a degree and its associate's degree. There are other places that do prefer a 4-year degree, some even a master's degree. However, there are several positions out there, entry level, starting at $65,000 at least a year. As a crime and intelligence analyst, and that is with your certification that you can get at the Ben Clark Educational Center or with the Associates of Science. Now, once the students have completed that, the 4 core classes, along with general education, and the 4 core classes have been created for students to learn the foundation of crime and intelligence analysis, and that continues to go on as having that hands-on hands-on experience. So you get to work on a program that's called ArcGIS. It's ArcPro, and that's a mapping program. This mapping program is actually utilized in several private sector and law enforcement agencies. So you get to actually create crime maps in this ArcPro GIS program. You also get to do link charts, and these probably sound like, what is she talking about, right? So a link chart is basically an organizational chart. So let's say I am trying to, let's say Abel is going to court. He's a prosecutor, Abel, or defense attorney? What do you want to be? Prosecutor. All right. He's a prosecutor for the state of California, and I'm working a narcotics case with him in support of with his district attorney investigator. And because he wants to make sure that he identifies all of these individuals that are in this drug trafficking organization, I'm going to create a link chart. So on the very top, I have the drug trafficking organizer, the main boss, the shot caller. And then right below it, I'll have maybe the trafficker, the one that's exporting the drugs, maybe taking drugs to Seattle or Washington. Next to that person, I'll have maybe a relative or a friend that is purchasing the vehicles at tow yards and exchanging them every 3 months. So I'll put the car salesman. And then on the other one, the person that is collecting and providing the fake IDs. So this is a link chart, and it's showing a complete organization, a criminal organization. So where you can actually create these link charts, threat assessment matrices, and things that are within the intelligence community, and products to provide to your administration would also be completed in what's called the analyst notebook. And that's a computer program, again, that would be provided to students, and you would have hands-on. Once you're done with all 4 core classes, you would have the opportunity of an internship program. And as of now, we do have an agreement with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department to actually get hands-on work as an intern. I think that's an exceptional opportunity, because that's how I got into the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. I was an intern. I got my feet in, I showed them my capabilities, I proved to them, and I got hired, and I worked for them for over 15 years. So yeah, you could start off with $65,000 entry level.
Not too bad. So Professor Gray, is that internship paid internship or non-paid?
Non-paid.
It's not paid. Okay.
Non-paid, but I am working on an externship to get some payment in the process.
So I know oh, go ahead, Abel. Sorry.
Oh, no, finish your thought, please.
Oh, I was just gonna say that we briefly touched on salaries. I know Professor Gary was talking about, the starting salaries, and Dr. Wilhite was. What about say, for example, like a paralegal, what would that salary look like?
It looks pretty darn good. No, but is there do you think I can share my screen with
You should be able
you
to.
should be okay. I just want to
Yeah.
double check. But if you want to jump ahead to answer your question specifically for paralegal in Inland Empire, their average the range is about 63,538 to 79,555, with the average being around $70,000. And
So
that's not too
good.
bad for 3 semesters of work, right? So you know what? Since we're talking about paralegal, why don't we start with that? And I think the original question was that how long would it take, right? So I'm hoping everybody's seeing my screen. Yes.
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
Awesome. So these are the core requirements. On top is 8 classes that are required, and then you pick any 2 from the bottom. So if you decided that, hey, I want to be specialized in family law, I would definitely recommend you take, family law, right? And so if you do the math, if you're a full-time student, you take 4 classes per semester. And so that's 2 semester plus, if you squeeze in a summer that has take 2 classes in a summer, you could be done with 2 semester plus a summer, right? And to start to earn. And the beauty of Chafee's paralegal program is that as soon as you're done with these courses with C or better grade, you are a legitimate paralegal in California. So I think that's pretty neat. The other thing, are you seeing my screen now? All right. So let me transition to talk a little bit about Pathway to Law School. I want you to show you, just focus on the participating law school. I mean, these are all tier 1, tier 2 ABA approved law school, ABA, American Bar Association approved law school. So we're looking at USC, we're looking at, a fair number in Southern California, a fair number in Northern California, University of San Francisco, UC Davis, Irvine, boy, and I'm very happy to say that Pepperdine School of Law has just joined this program, and we are putting some pressure for UCLA to join. The word is, and don't quote me, is that because of USC, UCLA is thinking seriously about why they're missing out on this, right? So sticking with the Pathway to Law School, these are the kind of the requirement for it. So with Pathway to Law School, the idea is your next step is, after community college, hopefully at Chafee, your next step is to go and transfer into get your bachelor degree. So the really good thing about this Pathway to Law School is that it's not going to slow you down one bit. Because all of the courses here, with one exception, and I'll point that out soon, is that you need to take these classes anyway when you transfer and get your associate degree. So the really great thing about Chafee is that by the time you're ready to transfer, you got your associate degree, we're also going to award you with the certificate of achievement in Pathway to Law School. So the only additional one class you need to take is this, the one on top, BUSL 10, Introduction to the Law and the Legal Process. And this is a class that I think you should take first, because we all have some misconception from what law school is, from what lawyer is about. And this class has only be taught by lawyers. So it's me and Professor Karp. We're the only JD and practicing attorney. I practiced law for 12 years before coming to JV. We fight to teach this class because when we teach this class, about 1/3 of the class, we teach it as if we were teaching law school. Professor Karp was a Loyola, he was an adjunct law professor at Loyola Marymount. I taught at Whittier Law School. And so it's fun, but also I think for the students, if you're thinking about law school at all, you should at least take this class and see if law school is for you, right? If you have a miserable time after BUSL 10, then you know what? I think it's great. We did our job. Law school is not for you. But if you say, hey, I can do this, this is law school, this is not so bad, maybe I dare say I enjoyed this class, then, you know, pursue in law, right? So 2 programs. Oh, and I don't know if I'm jumping the gun, but if Nikki, if you want me to give salary information for attorneys in California, I have that figure.
Yeah, if you could do it, we have like less than 1 minute left of this session.
Okay.
And then we're gonna transfer over, so,
It's-
and we'll do that, and then we'll do a quick final thoughts, or it,
How
you know.
about this? In
who wants to
California,
chime
the
in.
average attorney earns, ready, $120,000. The average new coming in attorney is $97,400. Done.
Thank you, that's good. So I know that whenever the students come to me looking for employment, that's one of the first questions. You know, I'll suggest a job, well, how much is it? How much am I gonna be making? So these are great numbers for not a lot of time that they have to invest in school. So are there any final thoughts before we're gonna be continuing on to session 2? Well, I thank you all for joining us this evening. We're going to be starting session 2 in about 5 minutes. So for our guests, if you'd like to maybe grab a cup of coffee or something, take a stretch break before we reconvene, I'm just going to leave this meeting open, and then I will see everyone at 6:55. Thank you. Okay, that was a short break. So a quick 4 minutes there. I'm looking in our waiting room and we have 8 people this time. So I think maybe a little bit better turnout, hopefully. Maybe extra people will join. So if you just let me know if you're all ready and then I can let them in.
So real quick, before you let them in, what
Yes.
other breakout rooms are there? Are there other public safety related breakout rooms?
No, I can tell you. Give me 1 second. I can look at the email from James. Let's see.
From our college, EMS is with RadTech, Radiology Technology. And so they're in a
Okay,
different breakout session. I just spoke to my colleague and he said they had about 20 people in the
Wow.
last breakout session that mostly all had questions for the RadTech program at Crofton.
okay, so they're in a medical,
They are.
okay.
Okay. So we
Is
have
there
a,
one,
oh, go ahead.
what is AOJ supposed to be in this one or are they in their own?
Yes.
They're supposed to be in this one. That's the person that didn't show from Norco.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, there's a business and entrepreneurship breakout, then there's a digital media, there's an education, there is energy, construction, and manufacturing, and there's a health sector, there's hospitality, and then there's ICT, the information and communication technology, and then we have transportation and logistics, and then the public service. We'll give 1 second for everybody to finish joining. Thank you for joining us today, this afternoon or this evening for our second session of our public service industry session. My name is Nikki Cook. I work at Moreno Valley College. I am the employment placement coordinator for our students. So what does that mean? It means I'm helping and assisting our students with employment by resume writing, interviewing skills, and so forth, connecting them with employers. So today we are here to showcase the different types of programs and careers that we have available throughout our Inland Empire Community College system. So we will go around and I will have our panelists introduce themselves so we know who all is in the room today. And thank you again for attending. Abel, you want to go first since you're unmuted?
All right, thank you, Nikki. Hello, everyone. My name is Abel Chen. I am a coordinator and a faculty at Chaffey College. I'm here to talk to you about 2 programs. Number one, the Paralegal Studies program, and the second one is the very wonderful Pathway to Law School program.
Thank you. Nancy Aguirre?
Hi, Professor Aguirre. I'm over at the Ben Clark Educational Center teaching crime and intelligence analysis.
Thank you.
and I will go next. My name's Dr. Charlie Wilhite, and I am a colleague of Nancy at the Ben Clark Education Center. And I am here to answer any questions you have about our Administration of Justice program, which includes our degree programs, our Police Academy, our Corrections Academy, our Dispatcher Academy, and our Emergency Management and Homeland Security program. And people always ask, what's emergency management? You know about the fire service, firemen, firefighters. you know about paramedics and emergency medical technicians, and you know about police officers, deputy sheriffs, emergency managers. We're the ones that get them to all play nice together and get all the resources where they need to be at the time they need to be there, and make sure that everything during a disaster or something like that, everybody's working together to serve the public. So we also offer that program here at Moreno Valley.
And I'll wrap up. Good evening. I'm Ryan Harold. I'm the operations chief at the Crafton Hills College Fire Academy. Happy to be here to speak about the fire service and about our fire academy here at Crafton Hills College. So happy to answer questions or help in any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we're going to be asking our faculty guests some questions about the programs that are offered at the various colleges. And then the attendees, you will have opportunity to ask any questions. If you'd please just put those in the chat, and then as soon as we are done with our questions, we will handle your questions. Okay, so thank you very much. So our first question will be, what can you tell us about the public services industry? So who would like to go first and tackle that question?
Ryan, you're unmuted.
Okay, I'll be happy to. So just tying down to what we discussed in our first breakout session, public service is a very, very dynamic career. And I will say that public service and public safety are related really to the protection and service industry with regards to our communities that we serve in. So I'll speak to the fire service. We also have our law enforcement partners, those are intelligence, those who are on the correction side of things. All of those emergency medical services are all components of public safety in any community, and they're tasked with basically making sure that our communities are as safe as possible. And so that's really a nutshell about what a public service career is. We've spoken about how fortunate we feel to be entrusted with people in their critical moments of life, emergencies to them that they're dealing with at this point when they call us for service. And we always make sure that we try to reach out and give them the best of our abilities, because really it's government at its best, right? You can be in a crisis situation and need services, and you call 911, and within just a few minutes, you have a group of highly trained and motivated professionals there to help take care of you. So that's just, a snippet or a snapshot of just the fire service and an overall synopsis of public service from my view of the world, but I'll turn it over to Dr. Wilhite and others for their thoughts.
Oh, hold on. There I am. Yeah, and I will follow up on that, that I think in all of the public services, to include being a paralegal or an attorney, the core that brings it all together is the desire to help other people, the desire to do something for someone else. That is something that all of the professionals in these groups have in common. The other thing that is very unique, I think, is that these careers are careers that are always going to be exciting. They're always going to be something new. You will never have a week go by, no matter how long you've been in a profession, where something new doesn't happen, where something different doesn't happen. Whether you're a firefighter, paramedic, a paralegal, we learn in law school that no two cases are exactly the same, that everything has to do with the law and the facts, and they always interact differently. And every time you come to work, every case you work, whether you're a police officer, you're the paralegal who's preparing a case, whether you're an attorney who's presenting the case, every day, everything is the same but new. And when you think you've seen it all, you haven't seen it all. And so you will retire out of your career going, God, I'm glad I'm retiring because I'm old now and I want to be retired, but it never got old. It never was the same every single day. And that's something that a lot of careers just cannot say. And we all get paid a lot of money to do what we do. And that's something that also goes across the public safety spectrum, is we have well-paying jobs and we all don't have doctoral degrees and master's degrees. A lot of us have associate's degrees or certificates and are making very good money to support our families.
Thank you. I definitely say that there's job security within all of these fields. I'm sure that the people wouldn't have a hard time finding employment in any of these because it's such a high need in all these public safety careers.
Are we going to wait on the individual questions, or are we answering them as they come up?
How would you like to tackle it? There's no right or wrong way. If you would like to answer them now, I can go ahead and read it.
Well, yeah, I
Sure.
see. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Jose, he says, I've had some thoughts about public services. I've thought about CHP and firefighter. Is there any kinds of pros and cons between the two?
You know, I'll speak to that first, and I'll speak to it because, as I said, as an emergency management professional, I'm not the police and I'm not the fire service, but I work with them every day. And is there an advantage to one over the other? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that where each profession is a little bit different, each profession has things about it that the others don't. They both have in common the desire to help other people, a real need to be of service to others. They both have in common that there are days that you will go to work that will absolutely be horrible, because something bad will happen. There are days you will go to work that will be absolutely great because you'll be able to make a difference in somebody's life. And overall, they're both great careers. I really think that the answer is to explore both. Said they both have, they're very similar, but they're also very, very different. And without knowing what you have a desire to do, I don't know that you can answer, give a great answer to that question. Ryan?
Thank you, Dr. Wilhite. Yeah, I'll echo what your statements were and really agree with the fact that career exploration is a fantastic thing, and there's many opportunities and options for you to be able to do that. I think, to echo what you said, it really boils down to where your interests lie or where you think they may lie as you explore what industry you want to enter into. Very, very vastly different fields as far as the nature of the work. The fire service is specific to typically fires and emergency medical services. Our partners at the CHP are dealing with investigating and taking care of the motoring public, and traffic collisions and all of the scope of work that our partners at the CHP do as well. So again, very different nature of the work, but really it's just about speaking to those who are already in the profession, working in the fields, visiting a fire station, visiting the CHP, speaking with those who are doing the career. I think it's an excellent starting point for you to be able to kind of narrow down where your interests, and then ultimately make attempts to immerse yourself in the environment as much as possible. I think is a great point of advice, just to start narrowing down the options and where your interests might lie.
And you can follow up if you have more questions, but I'm going to move on to Cassandra's question. And I'm going to answer that because my doctorate is in psychology. And I'll tell you, there aren't a whole bunch of jobs for associate or bachelor level psychology students overall. However, the place where there are the most opportunities for undergraduate psychology majors is in criminal justice and corrections. We have vast opportunities within probation, parole, the correctional system for people with degrees, bachelor's degrees in psychology, in social work. in human services, working with victims of crime, being case managers for people who are justice involved, who are getting out of prison, who are on probation. Probation likes hiring psych majors because they provide, they are of the mindset of rehabilitation as opposed to a criminal justice major who may not be. And once you go on to the level of a master's and get a license as a marriage and family therapist, a licensed clinical social worker, or a licensed professional clinical counselor, then you have a lot more opportunities to work as a therapist in both correctional settings and in the community.
I can also speak
you.
a bit about the psychology major, Cassandra. Traditionally, psychology major is one of those 5 traditional major for law school. Why? Because that major involves a lot of reading and writing, and that's what law school wants. And of course, also logic thinking. That is a major that would be very popular in law school. So, and obviously when you get your master's degree, just like Dr. Wahai had mentioned, that's a great fit for family law practices.
And somebody asked about pay, and at the master's level, the average pay of, say, a licensed clinical social worker in California is about $75,000, ranges between about 60,000 and over 100,000. At the undergraduate level, it's more around from about 35 to 40,000 up to about 80,000.
And just to add to that, since we're on the psychology portion, and I think across the board with all of our professions, you can pretty much go towards any career or major, but still apply those skill sets to any of the careers that we're speaking of our programs. With mind, the crime and intelligence analysis with your psychology major, it actually, you give it so much more of an understanding. So with crime and intelligence analysis and trying to figure out specific crimes, trends, series, identify suspects, locate victims, you really dive into reading reports, to reading specific criminal reports or social services reports, or you dive into social media and look into what's going on with this potential victim or this potential or alleged suspect, I should say. And you having that background with psychology and having that foundation really helps you out so much. My actual background is in criminology, and it's in the behavioral sciences. And when I was previously a crime and intelligence analyst and supported working human trafficking investigations, it really helped me in trying to locate victims and suspects. And with this program in crime and intelligence analysis, an entry-level position starts at $65,000. So that's just the starting pay rate, entry level again, and that's with an associate's degree or certification, which you can get both with the program that I offer.
So while we're on that subject, Professor Good, could you talk a little bit about the programs that you have in the criminology?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dr. Wilhite, my colleague, did make mention of the academies, Homeland Security and EMS. We all fall under that same umbrella. And what's great about this is I'm sure you all recall 9/11. After 9/11 took place, there was a lot of post briefs. There was a lot of meetings that took place as to how could we have prevented that, right? As a nation, how could we have worked together? Because we have FBI, Homeland Security, local law enforcement, NYPD, LAPD, LA Sheriff's Department, all these agencies that have such great skill sets, investigative techniques, but how can we come together? So creating fusion centers, which are all around the world, are now different agencies that come bringing specific experts and professionals together for multi-hazard incidents. So bringing in fire, bringing in emergency management, bringing first law enforcement, first responders, but also bringing in intelligence analysts. And that's where my program comes in. My program is specifically looking at preventive measures, identifying a crime series, a crime pattern. That is within a law enforcement. So if you'd like to work in a local law enforcement agency, a state, FBI, or Homeland Security, you can be a crime and intelligence analyst within 1 to 2 years, dependent on whether you can be a full-time student or a part-time student. You're given all the skill sets with computer programs to learn the job, exactly what it's like to be a crime and intelligence analyst. So it's not going into executing search warrants out in the field. It is actually doing research on the computer, doing that undercover research, being at the desk, being proactive, and providing all of that information that you've gathered over to investigations, over to administration. It's monitoring social media. It's looking at specific vulnerabilities that the place that you work for may or need to know about it. For example, I heard CHP. We have a student here that is interested in CHP. Well, Intel analysts do support CHP, or they have analysts there because they're looking at trends with traffic accidents, or it may be a trend where there's shootings on the highway. What type of vehicle is driving the highway that is causing these shootings? What time of day, what day of the week? And analysts and the students I should say, becoming analysts are trained on looking at these records, these incidents, and really trying to assess and coming up with these analytics to provide to their administration. But I know I'm mentioning a lot on the local side, law enforcement side, but also know that intelligence analysts are utilized like at Disneyland, at Universal Studios, at the Honda Center, at schools, at casinos. They're utilized in the private sector because those businesses make a lot of money, but not only do they make a lot of money, but there's so many people that attend and go to these places, and which makes a building the infrastructure vulnerable to individuals outside that may want to hurt and attack that location, right? So it becomes like a terrorist, right? They want to attack and show fear, create fear within the nation. So as students, you also learn how to monitor, what groups are important to really look into, not just the groups of who to look into, but learn. What are these groups? Why are these groups? And learning that foundation. So that goes back to the whole question of psychology. And now you're starting to learn whether you major in English, whether you major in history, whether you major in legal and law. All of this comes together and it creates a really strong foundation of moving forward within a career that we're all here sharing with you.
Thank you. Let's see. Abel Chen, can you tell us a little bit about the programs that you offer, if you haven't already covered it?
I don't think I did, but
Okay, don't think so either.
I'm
Okay.
lost in what everybody else is saying. They're
A
all
lot of
wonderful
information
and
today.
great.
Thank you.
I guess the paralegal program is a pretty fantastic program at Chafee because, I'm not going to share my screen with you folks, but it altogether is 10 courses. So if you do the math, if you take 4 courses each semester and squeeze in 2 classes during the summer, you could potentially get this done in 2 semesters plus the summer with the starting salary of around $42,000 to $70,000, some $496 in the Inland Empire. So that's the paralegal program. The Pathway to Law School program is fascinating to me and it's a passion to me because the program is designed to promote diversity in the legal profession. And so the program is run and operated by the California State Bar. And the schools are the law schools, and it's called Pathway to Law School. The idea is we'll take our students from community college to go get your bachelor degree, all the way to top tier ABA, American Bar Association accredited law school like USC, UC Davis, Loyola Marymount, University of San Diego School of Law. With, you know, and I think I saw a comment about, you know, what do I need to do if I want to make 100K, right? Well, you know, you can definitely consider getting your associate degree in community college, transfer to a bachelor degree, then apply for law school, because the average law school income for attorneys in California is $120,000, with the average new attorney going into the profession at $97,000. So that's not too far. But before I end, was just dazzle you with money. The Pathway to Law School is really about promoting diversity in the legal profession. And what better way to do it from community college? And I really believe in that, because I think the legal profession needs to reflect what look like our community and less like certain other community, right? And so with that in mind, it is going to the essence of public service. I do hope that attorneys do a lot of good, you know, starting with the DACA fiasco almost, right? And that we have seen, you know, a lot more Hispanic students who never thought of going to be the legal profession, taking up immigration law, for example. And I'm very happy to see that. And, you know, and I'm happy the program is around. And, you know, we need more attorneys, paralegals that looks like you and I.
Thank you. And Ryan Harold, could you tell us about the Crafton Hills? All the good stuff that's happening over there. What kind of programs do you offer?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you.
We offer the Fire Academy at Crafton Hills College, and the pathway to get there to the Fire Academy is there's some prerequisite courses that are required. One of them is emergency medical technician, and there was a breakout session for that here earlier in a different area. And then there's also 2 semester-long fire technology courses that we have as prerequisites. And Nikki, you had linked up some websites, our website for our college academy in the previous breakout, and also some other sites for our local partners at different community colleges as well. And so if you could get those back up again for this group, that'd be great. But I'd offer myself as a resource to answer any questions. My contact information is on our website. And so please feel free to contact me. But it's a semester-long program once you're in the Fire Academy. Our Fire Academy students are called cadets. And so they enter into an 18-week program that is 18 units of college credit for their transcripts. I failed to mention in our previous session that we also do offer an Associate of Science degree in fire technology as well at Crafton Hills. And so that's a great thing to do as you prepare for a future advancement in your role, as you get hired as a firefighter initially, and then ultimately move up and advance through the ranks in your career. Formal education becomes more important as you do those things in advance, and in opportunities as you head up the career ladder in your profession. So that's essentially where we're at with the program at Crafton Hills and the Fire Academy. You come out state certified as a firefighter 1, and you've tested to firefighter 2, and not to get too far into those specifics, but gives the opportunity to test all over the state of California for fire service employment. And then also we've aligned with national standards here recently, and our graduates can now cross over state lines and test in anywhere in the country, which is a recent development in the last few years. So we obviously want to inject people back into our local workforce. That's our goal. But if people want to see themselves elsewhere, then that's an opportunity they can do elsewhere in the state or across the nation as well. Again, I'm a resource, and please feel free to reach out if I can help.
Thank you. So we have one more question here. How long is the process to becoming a full-time firefighter?
So I'll go back to just the academy. We talked about the fact that there's usually about three semesters to go for all the prerequisites that are required for our program. And then ultimately between EMT, the fire technology prerequisites, and then the fire academy, you're looking at a total of about 3 semesters to get there if you pace out how we recommend that you take those courses. Our recommendation to you as well is that we offer a paramedic program here at Crafton Hills College. And I'll speak to, if I could jump ahead to answer the question, usually 18 months to get yourself to a point where you're ready to test for employment in the fire service. But then we recommend people attend paramedic school because our firefighters, many of them and most of them, in fact, function as paramedics as well. And that's what local agencies are looking for a lot of times, is somebody who is not only a firefighter, but is also paramedic qualified. And so I'll just kind of wrap up all of those, Nikki, if I could, just with salaries with regard to the profession. Entering into the fire service as an entry-level firefighter or firefighter paramedic, you're looking somewhere in the range of $65,000 to $70,000. And dependent upon all of those licenses and certifications and things that you do for yourself, many firefighters early on in their career, early point in their careers, are in the range of $100,000 plus per year now. So it's a very lucrative, very comfortable living. And all said and done, you can be at a place where you're employable within about 18 months.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to chime in on how long the courses take in order to get that certificate or degree or to obtain employment in that field?
I'll just briefly, I mentioned the academies. So we offer a full-time police academy here at Moreno Valley College. It is just right now it's 22 weeks long, so just over a semester. Students come Monday through Friday, and once they have completed that academy, they're eligible to be hired. They have a basic California police officer certificate. And the starting salary right now, depending on the agencies, are somewhere to begin over $80,000. And most people who join law enforcement are making $100,000 within 18 months to 2 years. There is also a option to do that part-time, depending on the college you do it at. Here in the Inland Empire, the two colleges that offer a part-time police academy are ours here at the Ben Clark Training Center and Valley College. And each of those, basically, it's a year-long process. You get the same certificate. And again, starting salaries, 90 upwards of $100,000 a year. We have the option, we have a correctional academy, which is a 12-week academy that qualifies someone to be hired as a correctional officer in a local detention facility, so a city or county jail. Those salaries start out at about $70,000 a year. And the opportunity to become a dispatcher. We have a 3-week dispatch academy that will qualify somebody to become a 911 dispatcher or work in private industry, dispatching for companies that have large fleets of vehicles and things like that. And in the public sector, again, starting salaries are between $50,000 and $70,000 a year for dispatchers. If you want to take the associate's degree route, become an emergency manager, our salaries in emergency management start out at about $80,000 a year. And there are all sorts of opportunities in Homeland Security also. The one that I like to talk about most is at TSA. And the wonderful thing for a young person is TSA is one of the few federal law enforcement agencies, that's the Transportation Security Administration, that hires part-time and will work with your school schedule. So you could work part-time, say at Ontario Airport or at one of the ports of entry for TSA and still be able to go to school. So they obviously don't pay as much, but for someone starting out, it's a great opportunity. And you can get the basic education you need for that program or for that job here and continue your education while you work part-time. And then once you've finished your education, most of the time they'll hire you full-time.
Thank you for that information. As we're coming to the close, we only have about 1 minute left. are there any final thoughts from our wonderful faculty members or words of wisdom or advice for our potential incoming students that could be helpful to them?
You know, I'm gonna, because I've been doing most of the talking. Every job that we have, from the law enforcement to becoming a paralegal to becoming a firefighter, they all have in common the fact that you're going to have to go through a background check. And so many people who would make great paramedics, who would make great attorneys, aren't, because they did something that they shouldn't have. And as a young person, my advice is be very cognizant of what you are doing. If you have a desire to go into public service, you can't do the things that your friends who want to work at IBM or who want to work at, they may go into jobs where they can make $100,000 a year, but they don't have the background checks that we have. If you get caught shoplifting, you will never be a paramedic, ever. And just once. And if you can't be a paramedic in California, there's very few fire departments that will hire you. You can't be an emergency medical technician. You won't get hired as a correctional officer. If you have a felony conviction, you won't pass the background to be an attorney. So that's my advice. Think about your future now, because there are all sorts of people who would be great in these professions who just made a stupid choice, and it's haunted them and kept them out of our professions.
Thank you. That's very, very good advice. And mostly for them to be honest. Also, like if they lie on the application and they find out about it later, guess what happens? Right? So thank you for that reminder. I appreciate all of our faculty guests. Ryan, you're unmuted. Did you want to say something before we close out?
It looked like I saw a question come from, I believe,
Oh.
Jose regarding firefighter scheduling.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. Okay.
That's okay. I can speak.
What do the schedules look like for the firefighters?
Yeah, absolutely. Very quickly, I'll speak to that, and I'll be happy again to speak at greater length if you want to contact me. But we work typically a 10-day month, 10 24-hour shifts a month is our standard work month, and they can be broken out in a variety of different schedule types. The favorite that a lot of agencies work now is called a 4896, and I'll briefly explain. 48 hours on duty, living at a fire station around the clock from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock, 48 hours later. You're on duty there for 48 hours, and then you go home for 96 hours or off duty for 4 days. So it's 2 days on and 4 days off. And that's just one of the variations of scheduling that's offered in the fire service now. There's also a rotating shift where there's 24 hours on, 24 hours off, and a variety of those sort of days with a section of days off, either 4 or 6 days off at a time. So it affords a lot of opportunity to spend time with your family. You are going to be busy for the time that you're there on duty. However, again, you're afforded, some time off to rest and recuperate and to have a quality life. So that's some schedule variations for that.
Sounds like a great schedule. I'm jealous.
It is. It's very good.
Thank you to our panelists. I appreciate you having your time here with us this evening, and for the attendees, those that ask questions, makes me very happy because it shows that you're listening and you're engaged and you want to learn. So I appreciate all of you, and everyone have a great evening. Okay. Where do we go after this? You're finished for the evening. You're all done. Thank you.